Well, well, well. Miss Cheatham is hanging it up after 50 years. Those of you in the room do not know Debbie Wilson in another life. As a single woman, we knew her as Miss Cheatham, who was one of the best hygienists that we ever had. And Miss Cheatham was so conscientious, and when she was ready for you to check a patient, she didn't simply come in and say, "I'm ready." She would stand at the door with her hands on her hips and tap her foot until you came up and left the room. Does anybody know that Miss Cheatham? The second thing is, there was a John before John, and John was married to his mother's memory. And Debbie, do you think he would have ever married you? I think he would have had to divorce his mother's memory. And then there was your John, and we'll come to him in a minute. But I need to tell these people about some of your antics as a younger woman. Now, all of you, this age group, I will say not all of you, but none of you have ever seen a car with a radio aerial. Now, Debbie, I don't know what kind of car that little blue car was, but the paint on it was so oxidized, it looked like powder on that. And there was a radio aerial sticking up with a little plastic razorback on the top of it, because as they all know, you are quite a Razorback fan. And so I remember that little blue car. So let's move down to the next thing I have on my list. Let's talk about the Christmas party, Debbie. And Debbie has got her hands in the air saying, "Oh Lord, don't tell about that." We used to have a Christmas party in our office, and we would have a great time laughing. And one Christmas party, everybody had left, even Dr. Binkley, who was a teetotaler, and even Dr. Ross. And there were only three of us left. There was Lucy Ross, Jim's wife, Miss Cheatham, and we got into a water pistol fight with the syringes on the units. And when I got home, I had to do some explaining to my wife exactly what had gone on. Remember that, Debbie? The water fight at the Christmas party. Now, what about your first date with John? John number 2, the John of Debbie Wilson. Your family had been after you to date John for some time, and finally, one Christmas, you went to Texas and had a date with John. We were so pleased because non-marrying John needed to get out of the picture and you needed another opportunity. Debbie came back the 1st of January and announced that she was moving to Texas and get married. Well, we just threw up our hands. We thought the poor girl had lost her mind. But she persisted on that, and lo and behold, one day she walked out. Did you have a house or apartment or what? Left food in the refrigerator, furniture, clothes, and everything. And some of our office staff had to go and clean out your house because you had headed to Texas to see your man. Now, that was love at first sight. We kind of kept a place open for Debbie because we were so afraid that wasn't going to work out, and she was such a good hygienist that we would have loved to have had her back. We've talked about the Christmas party. We've talked about food in the refrigerator. Debbie, I'm trying to think of any other thing about you that these people need to know. Because as they all know, you are as conscientious and a loving person as I have ever met. You cared as much about your patients as any hygienist that I had ever seen. And the whole object of this, and I hope it worked, was to embarrass you, and I hope by now you are crying. Debbie, I love you.